working with your successor who's reaching out to you to say, hey, is this going to work or is this not going to work?
Like I mentioned, I won't try to do much of this is what you should do kind of conversations with my successor, but I certainly will be a phone call away for as a sounding board and just weigh from my experience what I think, so, because I've obviously served so long, but I'd really much rather not say today that I'm going to be interjecting on the next successor. That this job is hard enough than to have people trying to tell you what to do. That's done it and gone down the road. It's hard enough. You're juggling so many constituencies between the unions and citizens, city council, city manager, mayors. It's quite a challenging job. So I don't know if you need like another person as a constituent to chime in. So I'm going to just take calls but not offer. Does that make sense? Lori?
What sort of role did community policing play after the Dixon Circle shooting? And what do you want your legacy to be?
I think legacies ought to be written by legacy writers. So I'll leave that to you all and to history. I won't try to write my own legacy or comment on it. I think there's enough evidence. I've been here long enough to where I think whatever it is, I think you'll do us justice on that. But what role has community policing played after Dixon Circle? I think that's the most significant thing that happened to the department in decades. We had a near riot. We had a pre-Ferguson event. And without my holding a press conference by the next news cycle, it's likely that we would have been Ferguson before Ferguson was Ferguson. Does that make sense? The rumors were rampant that an unarmed black male was shot in the back. Evidence did not show that then. And there were witnesses to what happened. But to remain silent for police chiefs is a dangerous approach to take. Transparency to the public is foremost the most important thing we as police chiefs can do. And it's very difficult because, not in the Dixon Circle case, but if the officer had shot an unarmed black person in the back, you have to reveal that as well. You have to be willing to, it's almost rule number one, tell your bad news as soon as you can before someone else tells it for you. So that's been my strongest advocacy to my command staff, is just don't try to hide your bad news. Just go ahead and tell your bad news. It is embarrassing to be forced to tell the citizens who you work for, whose tax dollars pay your salary, to have you all make us tell our bad news. So we, as much as we can, we try to admit our bad news and correct it and do better next time. Andrea? Okay, can you say that again?
Yeah, the first one is which were the goals you really accomplished and you hope the next chief?
Oh, okay, which goals that didn't I accomplish and I hope the next chief will accomplish. Again, I don't want to set goals for the next chief. That's not my job. Our work is never done as police chiefs, as police officers. There's always another 911 call, there's always another crisis, there's always another policy concern, change. And so, again, you have to say, you know, I'll be here till I'm 80 if I waited until everything was done, and then things will still be undone. So I'm going to defer that question. I don't know that it's relevant to my retirement to say I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. I have no regrets. I've accomplished what I sought out to accomplish as a 22-year-old from Oak Cliff to serve my community. And I'm retiring with the satisfaction that I made my mom proud of me, and all of my relatives are happy to see that I've decided to retire. And I just ask that you and others wish me well and keep me in your prayers. Jack?
Morning, Chief.
Morning.
Officers have said that morale has been very low during your tenure as chief. How much responsibility will you take for that?
Boy, no love from Jack Fink this morning. So, again, there are so many constituencies that tug at the coattails of a chief. And I've just taken the position you just can't make everybody happy. You stick to your principles and make tough decisions. And I'll leave that commentary to the officers that told you that, if that makes sense. Because I'm not sure who it was, so I don't know if I'm answering a question to somebody that changed their mind now. So that might not be a concern now, so I don't want to stir that back up, if you don't mind.
Do you have any personal disappointments while you've been chief?
I never got too low on the low moments, and I'm certainly not getting too high on the high moments. I try to keep it right down the middle. I wish my golf ball did that, but I try to keep it right down the middle and just take things as they come and try as much as I can to keep people encouraged in a very, very difficult job. Much like officers feel, police chiefs feel the same way, not much appreciation, but really, recently, Dallas citizens have stepped up so much. Thank you, exclamation points, hashtag thank you, whatever you want to say to Dallas citizens who have made this department and its men and women, both sworn and non-sworn, feel appreciated much more than we have in the past. It is really something to see when you go have lunch and no one lets you pay for your meal, or you go out and several people say thank you, pat you on the back, thank you for your service. It is exciting to be a police officer in Dallas, and people hiring on now. You're joining the best department in the country, bar none. There's no question in my mind for the best city that supports law enforcement anywhere. I put the citizens of Dallas up against any city today in its appreciation of its law enforcement personnel, both police and fire. The support we've seen is just off the charts. Rebecca?
Chief, you have been highly praised for the job you did July 7th and afterwards. Just prior to July 7th, critics and associations wanted you out.
Twice, yeah.
Part of that was because of low morale. Crime rate is still up 10% this time last year.
But a 50-year low.
And,
But a 50-year low.
but up 10% last year.
Yeah.
So some
But a 50-year low, the most dramatic decline in crime of any police chief on record.
and the department is in disarray and disorganized. How do you answer your critics?
Well, again, critics can be your best teacher. I don't shun criticism, never have. So I have a great appreciation for your sources who told you all that. I just don't get the sense that that's true today. I don't. And so again, I would defer you back to your sources for comments, because it may have changed. And again, this is a happy moment for me. Can you just wish me well in my retirement? Thank you very much, Rebecca. Ken.
Well, Chief, I wish you well in your retirement.
Thank you.
But I want to say, ask you why you're wearing street clothes today. I know that you're still a police chief, maybe for some weeks to come, and so it seems unusual to see you in street clothes. I'm wondering why you felt the need to do that today.
I'm hurt, Ken. This is a nice suit. No compliments on the suit. My goodness, I'm hurt. Do you know how much time my wife spent straightening my tie and making sure I didn't have lint on my suit? Okay, well, I'm going to just say you're welcome. All right, let's go to Sandy. Sure, go ahead. Who's my tailor? Is that the follow? Oh, okay, go ahead.
In the interest of transparency
Uh-huh.
and not being untouchable, I'd like to ask about two big things that we haven't heard about
Okay.
in recent weeks, and that would be the investigation of the ambush, which may well be
Okay, and
Where do these things stand, or why haven't we heard from?
okay, so the ambush is under criminal investigation. It's not unusual for a police-involved shooting to take some time. But you've heard a lot about the ambush. I held several press conferences, answered every question to the point of exhaustion. So it's not true that we're not being transparent. What this investigation is still pending. There were over 200 to 300 statements that had to be taken. And because of the nature of this investigation, losing 5 officers, many of our officers who have to get statements needed a lot more time because of obviously the emotional aspects of this is just overwhelming for us, all of us. So we're going to not press our officers to give complete statements till they're ready. We're not going to add to the psychological effects of seeing your brothers killed by pressing for a timeline so we can get it to the media quickly. That's a lot of statements. That's a lot of emotion built into those statements. And so we're obviously going to press ahead, but not at a pace that's going to put our officers' emotional state at risk. On the dog case, I thought we had put out several statements regarding the update on that. There is some forensic analysis that is unusual. Dog DNA and trying to match that is not a normal thing. It's an unusual analysis, and we've tried to exhaust every expert DNA lab to get that. There was some lab analysis here at Dallas County, and then we sent out to other labs outside the state. We're making sure that there's no saliva, nothing on Ms. Brown's clothes that we can match. It has been a very meticulous investigation. I don't recall a dog mauling death in my 33-year career, so it is something that our investigators are really aware of the seriousness, making sure that we can follow the evidence, and if we can prove a case, we will. If we can't, we will let you know that we can. Okay? All right. Eric's not here. Sandra? Oh, Eric, I'm sorry. There you are.
You said earlier that you have a story to tell.
Yes.
Is there a possibility that will make out in the future?
That ain't nobody's business but mine and my babies. Okay, we got that. Thank you, Eric. Sandra? Oh, did you have a follow-up, Eric? I'm sorry.
What about any hobbies you're going to do? Your hobbies?
Yeah, hobbies. I've got a lot of them. I'm a gym rat, so I love being in the gym, working out and swimming and biking. I love all that. Golfing. I love all that. So I've got a lot of interest outside of any other work that will take up most of my time. I got a family that I love dearly, that I am really looking forward to spending more time with my family. The nature of this job, you don't get a lot of time to spend with your family. The time that you have, you're trying to get a few winks, trying to get some shut-eye. And so you're not very accessible to your family. I don't know if y'all realize this for a police chief of a major city. You really don't want to go more than 2 hours away from the city. So like long vacations that some of you all take on a cruise, you can't do that as a police chief. You got to be here if something happens to your officer at the hospital, consoling the family and his officers. And so it is and I wouldn't have had it any other way. I wouldn't have wanted to be on a cruise or somewhere so far away that I couldn't get back in time to do what's needed as police chief. But that's just something that you may not just think about off the top of your head. It's one of the challenges of being police chief. You have to be accessible 365, 7 days a week. There's no vacation. Really, the big celebration I'm going to have is turning my phone in to the department. That's a big celebration. I'm just going to shout and just turn my phone in, because that means, you're not being called or emailed or text on some crisis or some event that happened that you have to make a decision on. Okay, Sandra? Okay. So I got a twofer, huh?
Yeah, but,
All right.
so, sorry, something else.
Sure.
Like, if you talk to President Obama, and if there's anything that you can share,
There's anything that,
that you can share about what you talked to President Obama when he was here?
we did, the President and the First Lady, Vice President Biden, the Texas delegation, Senator Cruz, Senator Cornyn, Ms. Pelosi was at the memorial. We spoke. I could just share just kind of, not just the President, just from my takeaway from the memorial and who attended and the comments they made to me privately were very encouraging. That they saw kind of what we see and have seen, how honorable the men and women of the Dallas Police Department and North Texas law enforcement have performed in this very difficult time to police in this country, and that our efforts in community policing being an example to others. That was the overall comments, and of course the sentiments and condolences were there. Same thing from President George W. Bush and Laura Bush, who have encouraged me from day one. They have been staunch supporters very privately. They've, George W. Bush visited my church quite a bit, attended a men's day soon after my son's tragedy and reached out to me, made it a